Time to Talk Tuesday, where your local realtor, Antonio Newton, discusses the local market and common issues, providing quick solutions, creative ideas, as well as tips for investors, home buyers, and homeowners.
Hi, my name is Antonio Newton, your local realtor with the Newton Group at Coldwell Banker. Thank you for watching and listening to today's episode of Time to Talk Tuesday. Today we're talking about home inspections. What are home inspections? What is the purpose of them? Should a seller get them? When does a buyer get them? What happens during them? Who should be there? What happens after them? All these things will be discussed in today's episode of Time to Talk Tuesday. So don't go anywhere. Make sure you stay tuned in. But before we dive into today's content, please don't forget that you can connect with us on our YouTube channel at Antonio Newton Realtor. There you will find all of our Time to Talk Tuesday episodes. I can't talk today. All of our Time to Talk Tuesday episodes, our After Coffee series, our market stats, and all the video content that we put out, as well as my Facebook Live videos. And if you like it, please make sure you like it, subscribe, and hit that bell so that way you get notified anytime we release new video content. And please share it with your friends. I created this show for you guys, for the public, to give you information, free information to help educate you on home buying and home selling and some of the things that's involved in different tricks and strategies. As always, thank you. So let's dive into today's content. Home inspections. What is a home inspection? So when you go to the doctor or mechanic to get a checkup to make sure everything's going all right, that's what a home inspection is. It normally happens or takes place, if you're the buyer, after you have already negotiated all the terms of the contract. So here in our marketplace, Columbia, South Carolina, in the Midlands, after everything has been negotiated and the contract has been signed and ratified, in most situations, you have a 10-day due diligence period to get your home inspection done. Now, in this market, we see buyers are waiving their inspection period. Some are saying we're going to buy it as is, even though we still get the right to inspect. So there's different things you can manipulate during the due diligence or during the inspection period. But it's important that you know what that period is, what your right as a buyer is, what the seller's right is, what to look for, and all that with a home inspection. One, it's important that you start off by getting a quality home inspector, because anything that they miss or oversee is going to be your responsibility if you move forward with the purchase. So in this market right now, if you call somebody today and they can come out tomorrow, they may not be that busy, which means they may not be the best one to be an advocate for you in making sure that the product that you're buying is solid and sound. So it normally happens during this 10-day due diligence period, and a general home inspection is going to give the house a good test drive. Now, of course, they can't knock down walls and put holes in walls and look behind walls, but they're going to check the plumbing systems, check for leaks. If it's a crawl space, they're going to go underneath the house. They're going to go in the attic. They're going to look at the roof. They're going to look at all the appliances in there, make sure they're functioning right. Open and close the windows, make sure they're functioning right. They're going to make sure the water pressure is good, the water temperature is good, and all these things associated with the home. They look for any major problems. And they're really checking for 7 things. One is water damage and water leaks or plumbing problems, structural issues. They're looking for old damaged roof, damaged shingles, damaged sheathing and flashing. They're looking for any kind of issues with your electrical system, any kind of insect or pest infestation, as well as any kind of issues with the HVAC. Now, for our clients, I also recommend some secondary inspections to do as well, just to make sure in terms of an HVAC as well as a termite inspection, to make sure to give another set of eyes, because those are 2 critical areas that are very vital here in our region. So who should be there for a home inspection? I recommend all of my buyers attend the home inspection. You're making the biggest investment that most people make in their life. So taking a couple of hours out just to, one, be able to follow them and see how thorough they are, be able to ask questions. But then at the end, they're going to show you things on the report, things they found. And nothing takes the place of being there in person and being able to look at it. Now in the report, they will have pictures and there'll be an explanation, but I think nothing as important as being there in person so you can get the information firsthand from the inspector. And it's not a pass or fail. So, we used to have a car inspection here in Columbia, South Carolina, and you had to get this done every year, and you would get a sticker saying your car was good or it failed, and you would need to get certain repairs done. So that's not how a home inspection is. And if you haven't got a chance, check out our After Coffee series with Chris Kriminger of the Construction of the Carolinas, a reputable home inspector here in the region. But it's not a pass or fail. So the job of the home inspector is to tell you any issues they find with the house. It's not their job to tell you if the issue is a major issue or not. It's their say, if they flip a switch and the light bulb doesn't come on, they let you know that. Now it could just be it needs a new bulb, but they're going to let you know that. So it's important that you as the homeowner get to review the report, look at the report, and then what happens? Well, it depends on your contract. So if you have an as-is contract, then you have said, I will get an inspection, but I am not going to ask the seller for any repairs. But if I choose to walk away, I can get my earnest money back. If you have an as-is with no due diligence, then you can get your inspection and you cannot ask the homeowner for any repairs. And if you choose to walk away, you lose your earnest money. Most people are under the 10-day due diligence period, where if you get your home inspection, you can then ask the seller for requests for certain repairs. So the way that works is you would sit down with your agent if you have one, or if not, you would sit down, you would get a list of the things, the items that you want repaired or replaced, and you would submit that request to the seller. Now, the seller doesn't have to fix anything, but then also you don't have to buy the property. And then you can walk away and get your earnest money back if you're not satisfied with what the seller is willing to do. And the seller could say, hey, instead of doing these repairs, I'll just give you some cash. Now, not like cash in your hand, but they can pay some closing costs. They can give you a credit to a repair company to take care of some of these things. So there's a lot of things that can happen with negotiations after the home inspection is done. And that's where you got to decide what's important to you. Do you want to lose this house? Do you want to start over? In my career, I found that most times if the seller's being reasonable and the buyer's being reasonable, the most reasonable people can come to a solution. I've only had a very few number of deals, less than 5, that fell out because of repairs. Now, there may be a situation where the seller may not be able to afford to do the repairs that's needed or that's requested. They may want to, but they say, hey, we just don't have the money to do that. And sometimes there are creative ways to structure the deal where you can still move forward, but sometimes that is a roadblock and then the buyer has to get out of the contract. Now, for a seller, should a seller get a pre-inspection? In the state of South Carolina, any seller who's lived in the property, or even if they haven't and it's been investment property, they're supposed to fill out a seller disclosure about any issues that they know in the property. And sometimes that can open up a can of worms, because if you get an inspection done and you find something, you may have to disclose that if you don't fix that issue. And then as well, different inspectors find different things. So your inspector, as the seller, may found something that the buyer's inspector didn't find. So really it's in talking with your agent and making sure that you have a strategy in place if you're going to get inspection beforehand. But it can be very beneficial because a lot of the things that the inspector finds before you put the house on the market, you can address those issues. So that way a buyer is not asking you, to fix the caulking on the garage door, on the back door, or to fix these raised shingles, or to do this or to do that, because a lot of these things can be done. So it's important that you sit down with your agent and talk and know what's the best strategy moving forward. Now, if you find something on the home inspection, do you have to disclose it? You should in the state of South Carolina. If it is the South Carolina disclosure, property disclosure, should be filled out with integrity and with honesty in all transactions. Now, If the seller denies the request after the buyer makes it, the buyer's going to have a decision if they want to move forward with the property or if they want to get out of the contract and get their earnest money back. And there's certain deadlines that must be met for all of these things. So the buyer has a deadline in terms of when they have to submit their request. The seller has a deadline on when they should respond. And then the buyer has a deadline on if they don't get a response or if they don't get the response they want on what needs to take place. Now, of course, with an addendum, you can always extend these deadlines out or make adjustments to it. But it's important that you make sure, as mentioned in a previous video, time is of the essence. And anything that is time sensitive in the contract, you need to adhere to that. So that way, if you are going to get out, you at least don't lose your earnest money. So if you have any questions about the home inspection process, about the home buying process or home selling process, please don't hesitate to give me a phone call, shoot me a text, send me an email. We here at the Newton Group would love to be able to answer any of your questions or sit down and even have a one-on-one consultation, no obligation, free, to see how we can be of assistance and how our services may be able to benefit you. So once again, thank you so much for watching today's episode of Time to Talk Tuesday on the home inspection. And if you have a chance, make sure you check out our video, After Coffee with Chris Kriminger of the construction of the Carolinas, who is a home inspector, and he will provide you with more insight on the home inspection process.
This episode of Time to Talk Tuesday was brought to you by the Newton Group at Coldwell Banker, where nothing works until we do. Look for our episodes every Tuesday where Antonio Newton discusses the local market and common issues while providing quick solutions, creative ideas, as well as tips for investors, home buyers, and homeowners. If you'd like to reach out to us, we can be reached online and on land at area code 803-608-2597. So until next time, here's wishing you all fair winds, following seas, and gentle tides.